Thanks for having me. Just a moment. Yeah, I have lots of gadgets here. Okay. Believe or not, I actually volunteered to speak. I know, that's me. But it was a month ago before I knew that I was gonna go to Korea or Japan. So I was just gonna talk about my own life of faith in general, how I changed over the last couple of years. But this wonderful trip happened, so I want to use this time as an opportunity to share what I saw, what I observed, what I heard, and what I felt from Korea and Japan. When my title, I've been thinking about, okay, so what could be the title? How can I summarize my trip? And this is my title. We have hope. That is, I think, my theme. My recently, especially after True Father's passing, my theme, the keyword that I'm always looking for in our movement is, do we have hope? I'm always, thinking that way. And this time, whether I want it or not, I came back with this conclusion that we have hope. So I want to share this message. And before I move to the next page, slide, I want to introduce myself a little bit more because some of you don't know about me so much. So I'm a second gen coming from South Korea, blessed to Toku Ikemoto here. And I came here in 2008 to pursue my master's degree and PhD degree in sociology. Luckily, I got my PhD in 2017, and this year, finally, I got a faculty job at UNC Pembroke. So I'm teaching as a assistant professor of sociology at UNC Pembroke right now. So sociology is my job, and it's all related to my trip. So the purpose of my trip to Japan initially, why I decided to go to Japan. Can I move a little bit? I don't need the microphone. Do I need the microphone? Okay. So my initial, thank you. My initial purpose was these guys. I'm not sure if you can see. Okay, let me show up. So these guys, I don't know if you are aware of this group called Nabi, and I've been following them as a sociologist. I study social movements, particularly my lifetime goal after I got my PhD was I want to study our church as a social movement, a new religious movement. That's my lifetime goal, and I've been living my dream. That's what I'm doing. And I was studying, I interviewed some first generations in our church, and I was gonna interview second generations too. And then this group came out. They are called Nabi. Nabi is a Korean word. It means butterfly. So they are trying to make butterfly effect into the word, centering on second generation. So what they are doing here is basically, Japan is facing a really depressing situation. The government, Japan is facing government-sponsored persecution against our church. The dissolution order to, against the Unification Church has been decided in the lower court. Now we are waiting to hear from the high court whether the Family Federation in Japan is going to be dissolved or not. That decision is going to come out in a couple of months. So in the midst of all this crisis, I was wondering, as a sociologist, I was a social movement scholar, I was looking at the Japanese church. How are they responding to this type of threat, persecution? It is kind of unheard of, in my opinion. And in my observation, the Japan church was quite quiet. And they were quietly suffering inside. Nothing was happening in the first 2 years. And then this year, May, this group came out, and what they started to do was they decided to go out on the street with the name of Nabi, coming from Korea. They decided to speak about their own faith as a second generation. This was meaningful. This was impactful because if you ever heard about the news from Japan, the Japanese media is all just one-sided. They are portraying our second generation. They even have the word Nisei problem. They are the victims of the first generations who've been mind controlled in the Unification Church. They are the pure victims of this cult organization. That was the image of the second generation in Japan. But these guys, they came out and said, no, we had happy life. Yes, we had difficult life, but we had happy life centering on the teaching of true parents and our parents. And that's their experience. They started to share. First, they started to share in front of the important government buildings, and it started in May. So I started to follow them. So what they are saying. And I've been following them only online because I'm physically here. They are in Japan. But I was always dreaming about going to Japan and then observing them as a researcher. And I learned that they have two big events, nationwide big events scheduled on December 13th and 14th. So I was thinking, I gotta go. But then okay, let me just show you a little bit more picture of the Nabi. This is the latest post I got from their X account. If you are interested in what they're really doing, if you want to hear what they say, they have YouTube channel, they have X account. Just, Nabi, it's a little tricky to Google. Nabi, second gen Japan, something like that, and then it'll come up. You can hear their speech. It's beautiful. They're still doing it. This is like, you can see 19 speakers. Most, I'm pretty sure, second generations, including 5 new members, came out on the street in Japan, showing their face in front of the public as a unificationist. It requires tremendous courage. And it started with 76 members. Now it became like 400 something members nationwide. So it became a big, in my opinion, pretty big organization. So I wanted to go there, but it was not easy. I almost gave up actually, because it's the money, right? Who has money? I have to go to Japan, and it's the school. School was it was almost the beginning of the winter break, but I had a school event to attend as a new faculty member. So there was a school obligation, and family was my least concern, but I had family to take care of that boy. But it was the money issue, so I almost gave up. But then something happened. With Chongyang, we have this Chongyang room here, and it was December 7th, so the week before the big event was scheduled. I was praying there after church, and I had strong inspiration. I gotta go. But only 1 week left. But I had this strong inspiration. So did I move on right away? No, I still contemplated. I sat on that idea for a couple of days. I gotta go, but this and that. I have so many reasons not to go. But then one morning, I was praying in the morning, and I just had this realization. I submitted a proposal to my school. Please fund my research to going to Japan. So I was waiting on that fund. So I was thinking, if there's no money coming from from school, I'm not going. That was my condition. But then I changed my mindset. No, I'm gonna make the determination. I'm gonna go. And the money will follow. It sounds like unification, right? My mentality. That mentality came to me. I'm going to make determination, and I'm just go. That was 2 days before my departure. So and at that time, Toku was traveling, so I had to call him. So I just decided I take action rather than waiting for external support. And then there was almost no barrier left because I have the family support. I called him. And he said, I told him, I think I have to go. He didn't say no at all. He had full support for me. This is a picture that I had. I did FaceTime. The Takaito picture is like that. It was my FaceTime with them when I was in Japan. So he was not happy, but I had full support from my wonderful husband. And also, it was only 2 days before the trip happened. And I had lots of support from Japan. These are my friends in Japan and my friend in Korea as well. Of course, my school supported. My dean said, go for your research. And eventually, I think it's the Heavenly Parents' blessing to me. So I'm pretty sure Hitoe remember I told the idea, I may go to Japan, right? I don't know, right? 1 week before, but I ended up going. Okay, so here's the report. I'm going to just go really fast. I had to debate whether I'm going to share more my emotion, feeling, or report. But if you are wondering about each event that I participated, you can ask me later. But here are some of the pictures that I took from my trip for the 10 days. First, these first 2 pictures were the main purpose. I wanted to see the Nabi activism on the street and the 10,000 people worship service in Japanese headquarters. But I also happened to go to a first generation led street speech event in front of the Japanese High Court where the dissolution order is going to be made. So I observed what they were doing there, and then I moved to Korea. I went to Chongyang, surrounded by 2,000 members in the main hall, and the last schedule in Korea was going to detention center and participate in the prayer vigil that night with 10 to 20 members there. And how many people? So this is way more than I expected. My purpose was just 2 events, but then other things followed. And then eventually, sorry, my husband does not like this number, but as a researcher, I counted how many people I met. I categorized them. I met, so it's not just the people that I passed by. I talked to them individually for a long time, like 13 regular members and 13 church leaders in many different organizations. So if you ask me, so how was it? I say, I heard a lot. I saw a lot. I observed a lot. So based on this experience, I want to say, what did I really feel from Japan? I want to introduce some of the stories. So as a scholar, again, my first initial question was, the Nabi second gens, I wanted to ask them, so how are you, what kind of impact are you making? Do you make any changes in the Japanese society? For me, when I see you from distance, it looks like you guys are doing a great job. The media should report about you. Unfortunately, what I heard was the media, the general public, they don't care. They don't hear. Yeah, unfortunately, it's great on our side. It looks like they're making changes, but unfortunately, the public are so consuming one-sided story. The media is not even reporting what they're doing, even though they've been doing this for 6 months across the country. Nobody's reporting. That's a little bit disappointing, but I found something unexpected. I call it unexpected social movement outcome. That was because of these second generations, Japan had Japanese Family Federation in Japan is changing. I saw internal change. What was going on, what I heard from my interviews, my talking to the second gens there was like this. So, I'm also not Japanese, but I kind of have Japanese friends, but I kind of knew that, but maybe similar here in Korea too. But in Japanese church, we know Japanese members suffered a lot, especially the first generation, sacrificed so much. And the second generation grew up watching their sacrifice and decided, I don't want to live their life, right? That was the mindset. And there was a huge gap between the first generation and the second generation in Japan. And also, first generation still had this mindset. We have to carry all the burden, so the second gen can have, free life. They can have better life. They have that mentality. And second gen didn't want to follow that kind of path. But as these second generations started to speak about their faith on the street, what they realized was they have to organize their thoughts. They have to, write down their speech. And as they did it, what they realized was how grateful they are for their parents. That was their finding. As they speak to the public, they say, I'm so grateful for my parents. Yes, my parents were not with me when I was young, but I realized their love really raised me in a way that I am here now. So all that kind of gratitude came out from their mouth. So their heart melted their heart feelings towards the first generation, a little bit melted. And when the first generation, remember, this is happening over 6 months, right? And Japanese members are very active on X. They can hear all these reports and the testimonies. The first generation's heart also melted. They felt so much rewarded. Our work was not in vain. It had result. So second generation is really feeling grateful to us. So it was huge reward to the first generation. So I see that kind of the gap between first generation and second generation in Japan is narrowing down thanks to their initiation. And even though we don't have great external outcome yet, I hope that their butterfly effect really reaches to the high court and then dissolution order is overturned. That's my hope. And that's my hope. If that happens, when I write a paper about this, I'm going to introduce them, and they were the beginning of the change. And also I met lots of people. I want to introduce two people's stories, 2 or 3 people's stories from Japan, why I felt that Japan has hope. Pastor Nita, he is the vice president of the group Nabi, and I talked to him, and of course, I asked him, so how did you start this movement? I'm curious from my social movement perspective, but what I felt most, I was moved by what he said. It's not about strategy, but it's about his encounter with Heavenly Parent. He's much younger than me. He is in his late 20s, and he's been a carb center leader. And I asked him, so why? Okay, I see you're good second gen, so you can just go to church every Sunday and they support the movement, but why did you become a church leader? What he said was, he was not really a good second gen. He was just, yeah. He just went to church because his mom, things like that. But thanks to being connected to CARP, he started his life of prayer. So he's been praying, and then one day during his prayer, he didn't go into detail. I guess, Japanese people, I don't know, they don't go into detail, but they didn't go into detail. But he told me that he just felt love and presence of God immensely during the prayer when he was in his early 20s in the carb center while he was praying, and he cried almost an hour endlessly because of the overwhelming feeling. And I was a little bit shocked. Wow, I was not like that. I was a good COP member in my 20s. How can you have that kind of experience? And when did it happen? He said it was way before all this Chonshimon prayer vigil started. So I realized God really prepared individual second generations to be connected to God. That's why they are standing up. And he's a COP center leader. He's one of the leaders of this precious group. God has prepared precious second generations individually when they prayed. So that was really touching to me. Because I thought I see lots of second generation coming back to Korean church and Japanese church through Chonshimon prayer vigil, but I didn't know that was happening before. Yeah, so that's his story that really moved me and made me realize we have hope. We have such a great second gen leader in Japan. And on other stories, I heard from Pastor Lee and Pastor Tamura. They are in this picture, me in the center, in front of the Japanese High Court. So the Pastor Lee is first generation. Mr. Tamura is the staff in that church. When I talked to them, I heard the same theme. They said, I asked them, so they are one of the first churches who protested on the street as a local church, and they are still doing it when nobody else is doing consistently. So I asked, why are you doing this consistently when nobody else is doing? Both of them said separately, individually, even if I'm the only one, I'll go this path. That was their determination. And I realized, when I heard it first time from Pastor Lee, sounds like pastor. But then when I heard it from Mr. Tamura, wow. So these people and the Nabi members too, Nabi leaders, they say they didn't think it'll go this big. They thought only a couple of people will come because showing your face is really dangerous in Japan as a unificationist. But now 400 something second gens doing it over across the country. They were really moved, but even if nobody did it, they were going to do it. So we have that spirit in Japan. Even if nobody doing this, if God needs me, this is my mission, I'll walk this path. Even in this really depressing environment in Japan, they had that spirit. Finally, who gave me hope? That's my friend Shine. That's my wonderful friend Shine. She took care of me when I was in Japan. She connected me to many people in Japanese church. She's married to Japanese brother. So she's leaving them. So I'm observing her life every day. She's hard worker. She works really hard for her company. She's the best employee, so selected as best employee in her company occasionally. And when she comes home, she's a wonderful mother. She has 3 boys. I never saw her yelling at her boys. I was shocked. Many times I already yelled at this boy, but she was very patient. She was loving. So hard worker at work. And then with 3 boys, she was a very loving mother. very patient. And then every night, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m., she was attending. She's the one who introduced me to the Chonshimon prayer vigil. She's been attending it since last year, January. So that's the picture of the regular church member in Japan in my mind. And we have that kind of member. She's not the only one. We have hope. Even though when we see Japan's situation from far away, it's so depressing. And I asked him, so how are you preparing yourself? There is 99% of the church dissolution in Japan. How are you preparing yourself? Everybody is, they have their own ideas. They're praying for the miracle, but they are okay. Japanese members are stronger than ever. They are united, and there are so many great people, second-gen leaders and first-gen members, and regular members in Japan. Those are the so I initially went there to study, but I came back with a lot of hope from Japanese members. Then I moved to, thank you. So there was 5 days. So I stayed there so from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 5 days I stayed in Japan, and I went to Korea. I had no plan. I just wanted to go to Chongyang and the detention center. I had to go there. And other than that, I had no plan. So why did I feel that Korea has hope too? Because of Chongyang. Sorry if you don't like Chongyang. I was one of you. I was one of you for the last 10 years. Whenever I visited Korea, I never stepped a foot in Chongyang. I just thought it's not my thing. But something changed. Hopefully that was supposed to be my sermon today, but something changed me last year. So I started to pray. I now totally 100% believe in the power of the spiritual world because of my mom in the spirit world. She influenced me. But anyway, I attended the Chongyang Chonshimon prayer vigil starting at 10 p.m. This is the picture on that day. Surrounded by 2,000 people. Before I went there with my boy, I couldn't really focus. This time without my child, I was solely focused on the Chonshimon prayer vigil, and highly, highly recommend everyone, if you have money and time and any chance, please go to Chongyang, participate in the Chonshimon prayer vigil, surrounded by thousands of people, and do resonance prayer together, shouting 아버지, 어머니 together. You will feel the Holy Spirit. It was overwhelming. It was beautiful. And I thought, God, Heavenly Parent and true parents must be so happy to hear their children being united in one voice and then shouting. Some people don't like shouting, I understand. But if you're in the middle of it, it's just beautiful choir. So we have Chonshimon, Chongyang. Lots of people are devoted there, making conditions day and night. There is the hope. That's the center of devotion. And of course, I met several people that I hadn't planned to meet, but I happened to encounter them. And I want to introduce one. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture of him. He's my dear Professor O. He's very famous. If I say Professor O, some of you may know. He teaches about the Chambumoron, True Parents Theology. He was my teacher when I was in Sermon Theological Seminary. And I tried to avoid him. He's intense, so try to avoid him, but I happened to meet him. So now, and I always had a question to him. I've been knowing him a long time. When I was in the Sermon University studying True Parents' words and theology, I realized he's crazy in a good way. I know many first generations are very devoted. You're crazy about True Parents and God, but in my eyes, among all the first gen that I know, he is the craziest person. He is the most crazy person about True Father's words. He can't miss any words from True Father. So what he did was spending his own money, paying, in debt, credit card debt. When Father was alive, Father said, okay, I'm going to have important speech in New York, in Brazil. He flew there with his own money to just listen to the words and the direct words. So he was really crazy about True Father. So after True Father's Honghwa, I was always wondering how he's gonna accept it, the reality that there's no True Father with us anymore, and also with new teaching from True Mother, how is he gonna accept it? That was my question, personal curiosity. because he's the person who loved True Father so much. And I realized in my path to understanding True Mother, I realized my love for True Mother kind of blocked me. My love for True Father blocked me from even trying to understand True Mother, because I was fixated on True Father's words. He said this and he said that. How can her saying is little different from what he said? I realized that. So I was wondering, how did he overcome that? So I had the conversation with him, but to make long story short, he struggled, of course, and almost 10 years, I think. He's a theologian, so he understood what True Mother said theologically. It makes sense, logical sense. But he couldn't make artistic connection to True Mother for almost 10 years. So he voluntarily, after he retired, voluntarily went to the, I'm not saying 40-day workshop is the answer to everything, but he went there. And because of the workshop, nature workshop, he had to pray every day, intense prayer in Chonshimon. He asked Father directly, why didn't you say something, a very specific question? And he got his answer. So it's kind of hard to explain how he became united with True Mother. But one day he really testified about True Mother, and True Mother was really happy. I remember her mentioning his name. She was really happy that finally him uniting with True Mother. And I had similar path to understanding True Mother, even as a second generation. So I had the hope. Why am I talking about his story? If the person who loved True Father the most, as far as I know, if he can be united with True Mother as a first generation, and as second generation, I can understand True Mother even little by little, we have hope. Lots of people I know still in my family are struggling to understand who True Mother is, what she's saying. But if I have my own experience, his experience, we have hope. First generation, still, we can be united with True Mother. Second person, I don't have time for that, but if you are interested in, Christina Han is the clothing brand that True Mother created. And Mrs. Kim, she is the one who is in charge of Christina Han. Her personal testimony was also amazing. So I don't have time, so sorry, Onni, I'll pass you. But I want to introduce Pastor Hwang's story a little bit more. Pastor Hwang here is the man here you see taking selfie with the microphone in front of the detention center. He is the third generation pastor. So, and he was sharing his testimony, how he became united with True Mother, something like that. Because his story is also very similar to Pastor Nita's story. He was, so basically his father was the pastor of the Somun University Chapel. And whenever friends asking, so your father is the pastor in Somun Chapel? And then, yeah, but I'm not related, I'm not associated. He was refusing to be associated with our church until college. Well, again, he didn't go into detail during this vigil time, but something changed, and he repented so much, and then he decided, for the rest of my life, I'm gonna give my life for the public mission, and he became a church pastor, and he shared a beautiful story. So that was the typical story I hear, not just from Chonshimon prayer vigils, not from the people I met. I just met him there, happened to be there, precious third gen pastor. He was, and I said, so do you think your redemption has been, fulfilled? And he said, no, I still have a lot more way to go. And he's driving every day, every night, 1 hour, one way from his church to detention center to participate in the prayer vigil. And there's another man right behind me, Mr. Kim, has somewhat similar story. I kind of knew him by name, but his story is he is an employee of one of the many church companies called Ilhwa, the ginseng company. And he was, again, okay member. He was not serious about church. He's my age, almost my age. So in his 40s. Honestly, I gave up on the second gen in their 40s. Okay. If you're not in church, you're not coming back, that kind of thing. But his story, he was one of them. After True Mother became detained, I think he got shocked. How can this happen? Yeah, it looks like church is going to be there forever as it is. But why True Mother suddenly became detained? That was really shocking experience. And he just decided, I got to do something. So his determination was, he's coming to the detention center again every night, not Monday to Friday, every night, literally with his wife, as a way to do something for True Mother. And ironically, when I heard it, it was irony. I thought, oh, True Mother must be so happy to hear his story. We know that, we hear that a lot. True Mother is strong and she's praying for her children, literally. She's going through this difficult path just for her children. And if you truly believe that is true, her child, one of her children who was distant from church, came back just because True Mother is in the detention center. And he's physically very close to Mother every night. And this third gen pastor also came back. Oh, I'm pretty sure his parents' devotion. So we have returning second gen and third generation in the Korean church as well. So that was really hopeful message that I received. Even though I hadn't planned to meet any of them. All these people, I think I remember the moment I arrived in Chongyang, I pray in Chonshimon and say, please, Heavenly Parent, I don't know why I'm here. I'm here, but please help me meet people that I need to meet. And these are the people, and they gave me so much hope. And hopefully my message gives you hope about, even though situation in Korea and Japan is so grim and so bad, we have these people. Of course, I didn't hear all the beautiful stories. I heard negative stories, but I'm not going to share it here. You don't want to know. Yeah, it's not a position. So if you're curious, you can ask me personally. And unfortunately, some people turn negative after True Mother became detained. Unfortunately, that was my sister. And I didn't even plan to meet my family because my schedule was so tight. I thought they would understand, but Heavenly Parent made it work, so I had to meet my family. So I had a long conversation with my sister, who became more against church after True Mother's detention. What I realized is this. So it's related to my message, what to do next. After we feel so much hope, education. True Mother always emphasizing on education. What I realized with my sister, with my conversation with my sister was, initially I was upset at her. Only, how can you say that to Mother? But then I realized she doesn't know about True Mother. I'm not trying to be arrogant, but for me, it took me a couple of years to read her words and to really try to understand her through Chonshimon prayer vigil, artistically connected. I searched for the truth and the connection. Her, unfortunately, I said, Onni, if you want to criticize her, you gotta at least know about her. Then you can criticize and accept it. But she was like, no, not interested in knowing her about her. She kind of closed her mind. She was not ready to learn about True Mother. But honestly, as a second gen, we were forced to learn about True Father, right? In the workshop. We had no choice. We learned a lot about True Father. So she knows True Father is a great person. But she doesn't understand True Mother is a great woman because she doesn't know. So I realized, instead of feeling upset, maybe I really, whenever I have a chance, during that long conversation, I was able to tell her, I was like you similarly, but little by little, I learned about her, at least the life course, what she did, how much she suffered. If you know that, you cannot criticize her. So we really need to educate ourselves about True Mother and help others to at least be willing to learn about True Mother. Because we really, if you think about it, how much do you know about True Mother? How much did you read about True Mother's words? How much did you pray for her? We really have a long way to go. And also, pray. Of course, we gotta continue to pray, because all this precious trip was possible thanks to my inspiration. I get lots of inspiration these days. I'm not a spiritual person, but I take the inspiration from Chonshimon seriously, and it made it possible. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna write an article about this trip with this data that I have. So prayer, and also from my interviews, I learned that prayer definitely connects us to God, Heavenly Parent. We need that experience. I realized, do I really have direct experience with God, like Pastor Nita? I couldn't think of any. But I do have personal connection to my mom in the spirit world. Thanks to her, I can connect to True Mother a little bit better. She's like my mom. For me, True Mother is like my mom now. Thanks to my mom. But do I have connection to God like many first generation have, many second gen leaders have? I don't. So I gotta keep trying to pray and connect to God directly. That's the key. If you don't feel connected to God, you're not gonna be here. And as we know, in this time period, we need God and the help of Spirit world more than ever to save our True Mother. And we got to take action. Prayer and action go hand in hand. And it's not my time to brag about, but the main initial purpose, I need data from Japan. So I went there, I got data. I'm going to continue to get data. And my action, I'm telling you here is I'm going to write a paper about how Unification Church is doing in this time of crisis. We are not deteriorating, we are reviving. That is the argument that I'm going to make in my paper. And I hope that we can all become hope for each other by taking action. And this morning, my dear friend Shine also shared something, and I want to conclude with True Mother's message. One message, she asked this question this morning. It's actually Reverend Tanaka's speech in Japanese church, his last sermon. So True Mother said this message to the spirituality workshop participants in Korea last year. And we have to she doesn't say a lot, right? But when she says something, it has tremendous depth. She said to those young second gen, said, you are my direct children. You are the direct children of two parents. And she didn't forget to include the first generation. I love you. The first, second, third, fourth generations forever. So the question is, she really sees us as her own children. Do we see her as our own mother? I want to ask the question to you. I ask myself, do we really, is our mother, physical mother in the prison cell now? Do we see that way? Or she's still quite distant, someone up there? And the last thing that have been stuck in my mind since April, during the Chongyang entrance ceremony, I think this is the time that we are living in now. In her prayer, when I heard it, it was a little bit fear. I felt a fear when she prayed to God, Heavenly Parent, this world will be organized piece by piece under your control. When I heard this term, now God is going to reorganize everything, all these separate the good from the bad. How chaotic, how is it going to happen? I didn't have any idea, but now we see all these things happening in Korea. It is a mess and it's chaotic, it's ugly, it's really saddening. But I believe that is Heavenly Parents' way of sorting out all the bad history in our church. Yes, we did bad things in our organization. God cannot live with that. So really getting rid of all this ugly past and only wants to have pure people, pure mind, and pure organization. And that's why we are getting so much criticism, but we have to endure this time period with prayer and action. But finally, we really need to understand who she is, why she is sitting in the prison cell for her own children, and we have to really pray for her return every day. So that is my long message. Thank you for listening.